What is happening, everybody? My name is Bright Life. This is my fancy shirt. I'm wearing a Casio and freaking khaki because you know what? Bring back the 90s, baby. Genuinely best TV shows of all time, let's be honest. And today I want to talk to you about the delving system in Lord of the Rings Online. This is an upcoming system coming out with Before the Shadow. Its release is set now, currently as of filming this video, on November 15th, although it could be delayed a little bit more. It just got delayed like yesterday on the date of filming this video. But either way, the delving system's coming out. I've had the chance to try it. I want to explain the system, give you some overall impressions, some pros and cons, and why I think that this system might be the thing that actually changes LOTRO for the better moving into the future. So let's jump into it. Okay, so it's no secret that Before the Shadow's big blockbuster thing are these two new zones, Swanfleet and Cardolan, and for good reason. They're great zones. I had the chance to play through these a couple weeks ago on beta. Absolutely fantastic, great zones. If you've not tried them out yet or you're waiting to not be spoiled on them, just know that they're really, really good so far from what I've seen. But the delving system has kind of come in as the under the radar feature for Before the Shadow. And I think it's the system that in my mind is going to have the longest term impact on the game because of just how it works. I'm genuinely very excited about this one, but let's jump into what is the delving system. So the delving system is a lot like Mythic Plus in World of Warcraft, where you essentially take a stone of some kind, set it on a pedestal, and then it makes the mission, dungeon, raid, wherever it is, which in this case is currently only in missions, a lot more difficult, a ton more difficult. And I've done this myself, it actually works that way. So delving gems can be placed into the delving stone pedestals located at the entrance of the new Before the Shadow missions. This unleashes their malice and enhances the denizens of the mission throughout the space. Unlike regular mission twists, these malices rotate on a daily basis, so the nature of the additional threat can wane, grow, and change over time. The greater the malice, the more potent the enemies are, and the greater the chance for immediate rewards and advancement. Be careful though, lest you delve too greedily and too deep and unleash your own version of Durin's Bane. So you can see that they're kind of getting this idea from delving too deep, unleashing the Balrog, all that stuff, which I think is really fun to play with. It's awesome. So again, to kind of recap it, the way this works is you're going to take a delving gem, you place it into the stone pedestal, and then it makes the mission a lot more difficult. Now, right away, this is only in missions, which is 1 and 2 player content. They're very short instance-based content pieces. These are not dungeons, raids, or any other instance yet, although I think that will be coming at some point. Again, we'll talk about the pros and cons in a moment, but how does it really work? Delvings are a new mechanic debuting with Before the Shadow's missions. When you complete your first new Before the Shadow mission, you'll get a special delving gem called an Unnerving Zircon, which sets you on your path to additional challenge for additional reward. Completing the quest gets you a delving Zircon to increase the difficulty of any mission offered in Before the Shadow to tier 1 delving difficulty. If you succeed, you'll get the next tier of the delving gem, and you can use to run your next eligible missions on tier 2 difficulty. Completing a tier 2 gets you a tier 3, and the process continues all the way up to a max of tier 10. With tier 10 being the most difficult, the most frustrating, the most rewarding, and in my opinion, honestly enjoyable, because maybe I'm a masochist, but I freaking loved level 10. Now, what rewards can you get from the delving system? The system understands that you want greater challenge for greater reward, and therefore offers the ability to earn gear that is equivalent to raid gear for those who are able to succeed. Delving rewards currently feature 2 best in slot items: armor equivalent to tier 3 raid gear without set bonuses, now selectable traceries for your legendary items, and new crafting recipes for craft traceries, items to enhance your gear, and so much more. Players will speak to mission barterers to trade their delving writs for the rewards they want. Now, I think this is a great system. It's very akin to World of Warcraft's Mythic Plus system, but I think it adds a little bit of a twist, and it allows for solo and maybe duo players to have some content that they can really, really run, which is awesome. Now, my first impressions of this system is that it is a fantastic system, a great system with a little need of tweaking, but not too much. It really is, for a beta iteration, fantastic. I myself did a level 1 delve, very, very simple, and then I did all the way up to a level 10 delve and found myself really enjoying both. I think that the level 10 was the most fun for me. I was on the Bull Roarer server. I did have a max level hunter with all the traits and with max level level raid gear, and the delve level 10 was extraordinarily difficult. Like, it was so hard. I actually ended up killing like this tortoise. The things that I noticed when I first got into the level 10 difficulty was, one, you're gonna need hope tokens because you get so much dread that you will literally cower in fear, like you can't move, so you're gonna have to have a hope token going in. Each enemy actually compounds that fear effect, so you have to be very careful with your pulls. Every time I killed one of like the little minions, they spawned a ghost that was very difficult to kill, hit very hard, and then at the end I had to kill a boss that required like all of my MMO knowledge. I had to trap and stun and fear this thing away, otherwise it was just gonna kill me. And it was actually really difficult, but that actually made it really fun. I really enjoyed that about this delve. And then at the end, I got 35 delving writs to go and then spend in the delving writ store. So that was kind of my experience. Overall, extraordinarily positive, but I want to talk to you about some very specific pros, cons, and hopes for the delving system, and again, why I think it's going to be a great thing for the future of LOTRO. Now again, just to put this out there, this is in beta. This is all beta impressions. This could completely change with the launch, but I don't think they're going to change too much, except maybe some of the balancing, tweaking, and maybe some of the reward costs. But let's jump into the first pro that I had, which was it is extraordinarily fun. Like, just basic, it's fun. The system is really good because I had a great time playing with it. I know that the system does get a little bit grindy, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but at the end of the day, I play video games to have fun, and this is a fun system. It allowed me as a solo player to experience the thrill of a raid boss, which I think is awesome. I don't really know any other games that have that kind of a system in place where you're facing something that is almost impossible to beat, that you're gonna wipe on a few times before you really get it done. And I thought this was great. I really loved that. It's a genuine challenge, and you have to be really careful at those high level tiers. But it gives the solo player, the player that doesn't really love raid content, doesn't really love to be all in the craziness of raids, it gives them the chance to actually enjoy, in my opinion, some really challenging, really difficult PvE content, which is a really big need. I mean, honestly, the system makes me think of one of my favorite Discord members. Her name's Angelica, and she really doesn't love raiding, which is completely fine. I think that MMOs in general have made raiding like the gold standard, like this is why you play MMOs, but some people just don't love the pressure, the toxicity sometimes of the raiding scene. And so for the Angelicas out there, I think that this is going to put LOTRO in a space where you can genuinely get best in slot gear in some cases, and up to tier 3 raid gear, which is more than good enough to do all the content in the game all by yourself, which is cool. Again, awesome system, very innovative, very great. But you don't just have to do this alone, which is what brings me to my second pro, which is that this is a perfect system for dual players, like friends that are playing with friends. Maybe you're playing with a sibling. I don't know if I could have ever played a game like this with my sibling. It would not have worked out. But if you do, missions go up to 2 players. And so I can see this being really cool for you. Currently, there isn't really a great system in place in LOTRO, or honestly like any other MMO, for like just 2 players to come in and play. If it's just you and a friend. And I think especially as we get older, it can become increasingly difficult to find a group of 5, 6, or 7 people, or a full raid group to get together. It takes a lot of coordination, a lot of difficulty, and the fact that these missions with the delving system are able to be done by 2 players, you can bring one player who's like really tanky, one who's got like heals, but maybe like a minstrel can do some decent damage too. There's a lot to play with here, and you can actually just play with one friend and do this really high difficulty level thing. Again, awesome, super innovative. I think more games should do this. Like, huge hats off, way to go LOTRO, it's awesome. Now my next thing is not really a con, it's more of like a hope. And I think that it's a confirmed hope, is that they expand this delving system to include other types of content in the game. Not just missions, but also some of the skirmishes, the instances, eventually in my mind, the raids would be really cool for this as well. And they have said that this is coming, but I think especially when I think about like instances, of course my mind goes to the Mythic Plus system in WoW, which I don't like their timer in World of Warcraft. I think that that makes things toxic. But I think that if it was just, hey, this is just a crap ton harder, but here's your +5 Mythic Plus or whatever, +10 Mythic Plus, or in this case, your +5 instance, I think that would be really cool. Remove the timer from Mythic Plus and it's a perfect system in my mind. And I think that this would be a great thing in Lord of the Rings Online as well. It would incentivize players to go back and play some really cool dungeons like the Great Barrow. And I think that if they do that, and I think, again, eventually they will do that, my hope is that that comes very quickly, that it becomes really fun to do, because I think it will give end-game players a real treat, which I think this with this system is. It's a real treat. It's a really great thing to play. So that's one of my hopes, is that eventually they get to that spot. Oh, and then one more pro is that every single reward unlock gear based wise is an account unlock, which I know a lot of the dungeon gear and raid gear is, but I think this is really innovative and really cool, meaning that if you grind out the delving writs to get them for your main character, you're also going to be able to pass those off to your alternate characters as well. So if you've got, a minstrel that you've fully geared out with, all this delving gear, and then you get some better gear and maybe further raids or whatever, well then if you have a runekeeper that you level up to max, as soon as they hit 140 or whatever the cap is, then you'll be able to just pass that delving gear off to them. They have a full T3 raid set. And so I can see some of like the min-maxers in this game and the people that really love alts really grinding out these delving writs for like a full set of each, light, medium, and heavy armor gear, and then just passing those off to their alts. I could see that being a really cool thing. All right, now I've really praised this system, and I think it's a great system with very few flaws at this point, maybe outside of just general balancing and how difficult things can be. But there were two like little negatives in my mind. They're just only two, and they were small, they can be removed. And the first one was the time gating for the delving system. You can only run 10 of these per day. Which I know sounds like a lot, but it's kind of an arbitrary time gating mechanic in my opinion. Now, I think that the issue for devs is that they may be thinking about this a little bit the wrong way. And again, this isn't just LOTRO devs, this is devs in general. I think in their mind, they think that if you time gate a piece of content, that your casual players will stay on and play the game longer, right? They'll continue to pay your sub fee. They'll continue to use your cash shop if there's time gates that are arbitrary. I actually don't think this is in practice the case. I think that your casual players are not going to like over and exceed the time gate to the point where they burn themselves out, because they're casual players. They have jobs, families, all of the things that come with those things, and they're gonna time gate themselves. They don't need you to time gate them. I think that what it does is it puts this arbitrary time gate so that the casual player goes, well, if I wanted to, I can't, which makes a lot of casual players leave. I think that the only people that the time gating really hurts are the hardcore players who, regardless of the time gate, are probably going to continue to play your game anyway because they've fully bought in. The people that are going to run 50 and 60 of these a day are not your casual players. They're your extremely hardcore players. They're already bought in. They don't need time gates to keep them in. They're going to be there. So I would just love if they just remove the time gating completely. And then the other con is the grindiness of the system, just based on the amount of time that it takes to get a certain gear piece. So currently right now at a level 10, which took me around 20 to 25 minutes to complete, I think, and I wasn't optimized. Of course, if you ran with the group, maybe it's faster, but with only being able to run 10 of these a day, you get around 30 writs. Each piece of gear that you get from the vendor takes 30 runs to get. 30, and that's a lot of grind. I think that's a little too much grind in my opinion, which means that if you wanted to get every single piece of gear, that would be 180 runs, which is a lot of writs. That's a lot of runs, and I think that the casual player is not going to be able to use this to its fullest extent because you're going to just feel completely burnt out. I think if you put that in half, if you cut that in half, it would be perfect. And again, that's not even without the best in slot cloak, which is like another 50 or 60 runs that you'd have to do flawlessly at level 10. That's a lot of runs, and I just wish that they would remove the time gate and maybe just cut the rewards in half. But I'd actually be really interested in what you think about that. You may completely disagree with me, which is completely fine. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, because I think it's a very good system. I think some of the balancing, the time gating is a little bit frustrating, but I think those are so easily removed or so easily changed, and maybe they will by release. I'm not really sure, but I'd actually really love to hear your thoughts below. What do you think? Are you excited about the delving system? Can you see why you think it's going to be like a game-changing thing like I do, or am I just overhyping it? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But friends, as always, if you like the video, please hit that like button. It really does help me out a ton. If you love the video, hit the subscribe button. Let me know that I need to make more content like this. As always, I want to say a massive thank you to our patrons who help make these videos not just survive, but thrive. Our whole channel thrives because of you, so I want to say thank you so much. If you'd like to get these videos early, you can join our Patreon in the link down below. And friends, as always, at the end of my videos, there are two things that I say that are more important than any delving system, any reward, any grind system at all. It's the most important thing I can say, which is that you are more loved than you know, and you are so much more valuable than you realize. I hope that you have an incredible day, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. I want to let you know a couple ways to connect with me. First of all, we got an awesome Discord in the description. We've got a Patreon if you'd like to give to the channel and help support more video creation. And I am live on Twitch quite often over at twitch.tv/brightlifecommunity. Would love to see you there. Always love interacting on those live video streams. But I hope you have an incredible day, my loved and valued friend. Have an awesome one.